Good everyone, welcome to this video. Today we have we're taking a look at the new Pokemon, shall we say, online game. As you remember from last year, we took a look at the previous one, and we're looking at the new game. And yeah, there's a couple of bugs, but, well, there's bugs in every game, so yeah. Today though, unlike last year, we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We're going to be using my real-life deck, which will be changing slightly from this video, because when this video actually goes out, the rotation will happen. I'll explain rotation in a minute, but, you know. So my deck is the Giratina Vstar deck, which is a pretty... It used to be pretty good around the Lost Origin time, which is when he was released. And then Lugia came in, kicking and screaming, and just completely destroyed the format. So yeah. But now Giratina, once this video actually drops, will be returning to his rightful crown, other than Lost Box, which will be nice to have back. So hopefully I'll be able to do a little bit better at the old locals, because when I run into a Lugia, yeah, it's not fun, but, you know. So the Pokemon lineup of this deck doesn't change. We run one Sableye, one Laminion V, which lets me grab a supporter card, 3 Giratinas, including the Promotina, which I spent about 4 months trying to find one of these. And in my real life deck, I have one of these Giratinas. The only Giratina I'm missing is this one, and this is worth about 200 bucks. So yeah, for those who are interested in Pokemon card prices, yeah, that's how much this one roughly costs, and I'm hopefully going to get my hands on one someday. We don't run 4 Comfy, which is very important for the deck. I do have all 4 of these Crown Zenith ones, I'd remember them. This we run in case of Mew, because Mew is actually a pretty tough matchup for my deck, for most decks to be honest. Of course, I've shown you the V-Star, which hits for exactly 280 damage, so if we run into a mirror, that's completely fine. And we have a V-Star power, which lets me instantly KO someone's Pokemon if I have 10 or more cards in the Lost Zone. Sableye does something very different for 10 cards. We don't have 2 Cramorant, because, well, you have to have 2 Cramorant if you're running a deck like this, because he attacks for free if you have 4 or more in the Lost Zone. Pretty good in the early stages. And then for some extra draw power and bench shenanigans, we run the Radiant Greninja, which lets me discard an energy card, including special energy, and I get to draw 2 cards. I'm going to do that once per turn though. As for the rest of the deck, it's just main things like 1 Air Balloon. We run stuff like Ordinary Rod for recycling. A couple of Switch cards. Obviously 2 Switch, 2 Escape Rope, which I think in my old build, because this is the standard build, I think I only ran 1 and I ran 3 Switch, but I'm trying it with 2-2 and it's actually going pretty okay. We run 3 Quick Ball, which lets me grab a basic Pokemon. Obviously, the V-Star is the only thing that I cannot grab off of this, so it's very useful. And just in general, it's your normal stuff. But of course, Quick Ball's going out of rotation, so if you see this little D mark here, that means the card is going out of rotation on March 31st. But of course, when this video drops, yeah, this card will not be able to be used anymore. But I've been practicing with this card gone, and to be honest, I don't see what all the fuss is about when people are going on about it. We then have a 4-line of Battle VIP Pass, which basically does what Quick Ball does, but I can only use it during my first turn, and I can put 2 Pokemon onto my bench, not into my hand, but still. And then of course, Chorus's Experiment to really kick off there. And then we have 2 Capture Energy, which lets me grab a basic, 4 Grass Energy, 3 Water Energy, and 4 Psychic. So, we've took a look at the deck and how my deck looks. Obviously, this is just a character. This is not an accurate representation of me. I don't wear cool sunglasses like this. Nor do I have hair like that, where it looks like he's done the old Boris Johnson thing where he licks his hand and puts his hair on. But anyway, we're going to do hopefully 1 casual match and 1 ranked match today. So, let's get into it. Obviously, I will explain every card that and how it works, because my deck can be a bit complicated. And you do have a pretty cool like intro now, but yeah, there's going to be a little bit like music and effects. You'll get to see all of that. I have done some volume adjustments, so hopefully you should be able to hear everything perfectly fine when I'm not speaking and all that. So now we're just waiting for my opponent, because the the game itself does have problems with connection, so I'm not expected to like get a match straight away. So yeah, there's been a few issues with it. A lot of players have had issues. Obviously, this is a very well, it's roughly new. So yeah, it's one that we have to kind of deal with for the moment, but they are working on fixes, which is good. They're very quick in doing their fixes, so fingers crossed this gets a little bit better, because I don't think we're getting this match. But because we are staying here, we get the win, so to speak. So yeah, there you go. So he obviously couldn't connect, and yeah, I'm not that cool, I promise you that. I don't do shit like that. And it would have been a Blissey match, which would have been interesting, but oh well. Let's try again, and hopefully we get a match. Nope, not doing Expanded, because Expanded is a cluster. Let's put it that way. I normally name my decks on these sorts of games very simple, because then you know which deck it is, like Giratina Standard, Giratina Post-Rotation, things like that. Obviously this deck will be deleted when it comes to that. Okay, and you'll notice I'm not hiding my username. If you do play this game and you do want to face me sometime, please do, because I'm more than happy. So it looks like we are actually getting a match, and he's got a High Dragon coin, and his deck box I believe was dark, so I'm expecting a dark sort of deck. I don't need to go first, so here we go. So he's going to go first, so he cannot attack, nor can he use a supporter card. And this isn't actually a bad hand to start us off with. We get a Comfy, and we get a Giratina in hand, but Giratina's not going to help us too much at the moment, because obviously it's very early into the game. And obviously because I have a Psychic Pokemon in play, you can see all the nice little effect, and here we go. So this looks to be some sort of Darkrai deck, which is interesting. So he's going to attach to his Krogunk, which is a poison Pokemon in the actual game. You'll also notice some of the card texture, like the quality of the cards, don't look that good, but you know, gotta start somewhere. Okay, 3 Mirage Gate in hand is not ideal, so we're going to use Flower Selecting. This lets me look at the top 2 cards of my deck, add 1 to my hand, and put 1 in the Lost Zone. So we're going to take Battle VIP Pass, because we do not need Boss's Orders. So now we're going to play Battle VIP Pass, grab a Comfy, and we'll grab my Greninja. We've got 1 Giratina prized, so that's fine. We've obviously got 1 Giratina in hand. We're going to, first of all, Chorus. So this lets me look at top 5 and add 3 of them to my hand and put 2 in the Lost Zone. So we're going to take Scoop Up Net, Cramorant, and we're actually going to take Quick Ball here. I'm not too concerned about throwing away a Vstar. I've run 3 for a reason. So, we're going to go into that. Use Scoop Up Net to pick up my Comfy. And use this one with its Flower Selecting. So, we've got 1 Cramorant. I don't really think I need a second. I'm going to bench the Giratina, bench the Comfy, and attach the Air Balloon. We haven't retreated this turn, remember. So, I'm going to retreat into my Cramorant, attach a Water Energy to my Giratina, and remember, because we have exactly 4, we can attack completely for free and take the first knockout. And down goes his Krogunk. It's a bit of a broken ability turn 1, to be honest. Like, you could one-shot a lot of the stuff that people tend to start with. Obviously, in this Darkrai's case, we won't be able to one-shot it because it has 120 HP, and he conceded straight away. So yeah, that was pretty quick, but obviously he conceded because I knocked out his Pokemon rather quickly. Which is understandable, because Cramorant tends to do that. But if they start a V, like a Giratina V or something, you won't be able to take a knockout, but you will be able to like put some early game pressure on, which is very important. So we're going to do another standard, and then we'll move on to a ranked, because ranked tends to be a little bit harder in terms of what you meet. Okay, Psychic. Now, a lot of people don't tend to have like these sleeves to like match their decks. I do, because then it gives my opponent a bit of a fear, so then they know what to expect. Now, obviously, that can work in a bad way, so that they know what to do against your deck, if that makes sense. But I suspect we're dealing with a possible Mew deck, which... That's why we have the Drapion, because Drapion can attack pretty much for free if they have 4 Fusion Strike Pokemon in play. But I think we'll just let it play out. Okay, not the worst. So obviously we'll start the Comfy again. And yes, I was correct, it is a Mew deck. This is going to be difficult. I don't expect an easy win off of this. It's actually quite a tough matchup for us, but we can definitely put some early game pressure on, because obviously we do have Cramorant in hand. We can quick ball for a Luminion if he's in the deck. So he's going to attach a Fusion Strike energy, so that, because he's attaching it to a Fusion Strike Pokemon, which is what Mew is, it counts as a, well, any type of energy, but it must be on a Fusion Strike Pokemon. So he's going to Ultra Ball. This lets him grab any Pokemon, but he has to discard 2 from his hand. But yeah, I do love the effects. We didn't used to have this on the old launcher. So because obviously we both have Psychic Pokemon in play, it's a really like mystical sort of like crystal ball sort of effect. Obviously with Cramorant, that was more of like a beach, water and things like that, because obviously he is a water type. So now we're just waiting on our opponents to select cards from their hand, because, yeah, people do sometimes take the piss. Which is unfortunate, but that's just what you have to live with. He must have very hard discard opportunities in hand, though, because normally Mew players are pretty quick with their decisions, and he's just going to concede. I think he misclicked, personally, but that's completely fine. Okay, since casual appears to just be full of people who love to concede, let's go on to a ranked. So this might be a little bit harder for us, but I'm more than happy for that. So I've not done much ranked, but yeah, we're calling the coin flip here. And we get tails, so I'm going to go second. I don't know why it gives you the option to inspect the board. We don't even see their deck or anything like that, or anything they play at the minute. Okay, that's not a bad opening hand. That is not bad at all. Obviously, we've got Psychic in play again. I don't normally start Comfy this often. This is 3 times we've started with Comfy. I don't normally get that much of a start. Obviously, you run 4, because that's the most you can run. And you can obviously... like, you can run up to 4 of them, but you don't always start with 4. It's just a higher chance. It's a 1 in 15 chance of actually starting with a Comfy, if you think about it. Because obviously I run 4 of them, there's 60 cards in the deck, 6 of them go into prizes. If you want to really go into math about it, you're looking at almost a, what? 1 out of 14 chance, I think, to actually start a Comfy, which is not bad, but yeah. So now we're just waiting on our opponent to set up. Obviously, prize cards and everything. He's just deciding what other basic Pokemon to put down on his board. Obviously, he's already got 1. We're not putting down the Greninja just yet. That's the key. We want to keep our resources in hand for the moment, because we might need to discard Greninja depending on our top deck. Yeah, but you're about done, buddy. And yep, he's made his decision. It is a Lucario V. Okay, I have a feeling I know what deck this is. So obviously, because he has a fighting Pokemon, which is technically classed as a ground type in this sort of thing, there's more of like a rocky background. Obviously, Lucario in the actual game is a fighting type, not a ground type, but most ground types are considered fighting type just because TCG. Okay, that is an amazing top deck. So, let's get to it. Flower selecting. We're going to need the Greninja, so we can throw away the boss's orders. I'm now going to bench the Greninja and discard the grass energy we just got to draw 2 additional cards. So now we'll use Scoop Up Net to pick up the Comfy that we just used. And there's Cramorant. We do need him for an early attack, so that's good. Obviously, I'm not worried about resources because it's early game. We could just go aggressive with this. Okay, do we need a Laminion? Probably not, because obviously we've got a Chorus in hand. So I'm going to take the Water Energy. I don't think we need Laminion in this game, to be honest. So I'm going to bench another Comfy. Let's go for a Chorus. I'm going to need that. I'm going to need this. And we're probably going to need this. I don't think Temple's going to come up. So now what we'll do is we'll capture energy onto the Comfy. Grab my second Cramorant. And now we can freely retreat using the capture energy we just attached. To once again attack with our boy Cramorant. But obviously this is a V Pokemon, so it has higher health. So we have to 2-hit this thing. But obviously because we have a Water Pokemon in play, you get to see all the nice little effects. The other types I have in this deck are Dark, Psychic, Dragon, and I think that's it. Off the top of my head, because obviously most of my deck revolves around Psychic Pokemon. Cook, he's healing damage from the Lucario. Interesting, and now he's benching a Charizard, okay. And he's attaching a Heat Energy to... you've not read your card, have you, mate? That only works on fire Pokemon. So, what I mean by that is... Heat Energy provides fire energy to a Pokemon, which is fine. But it's this bottom card, of the, well, part of the card here. He has to attach it to a fire to give it more health. He thinks attaching it to Lucario will give it more health. It won't. It must be attached to something like this Charizard over here. Which, is that the Silver Tempest Charizard? I think it is. Anyway, it's our turn now. So, we're going to start off with Greninja. We're going to discard one of these Water Energies to draw 2 additional cards. That's actually perfect, because now we can do some shenanigans and hopefully put some damage on that Charizard. So, I'm going to play a switch card. Flower selecting. Well, we do not need Battle VIP Pass, because obviously it's past our first turn. So now I'm going to Escape Rope, which forces his Charizard into the active. And I'm going to get my next Comfy into the active. We're going to need the Mirage Gate. So now this is where I'm going to bench Giratina. So what do we have in discard? We have Grass, Water... I'm actually going to attach a Psychic here and retreat into Cramorant. Because I want that Psychic Energy back in deck for when we Mirage Gate onto Giratina next turn. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to use Ordinary Rod to shuffle those 2 back in. And we'll spit in the sleeve for 110 damage. And with his Charizard having a 2 retreat cost, that's going to put even more pressure on him. Obviously, we can't knock out the Lucario next turn, but we can certainly knock this Charizard out. You can see what I mean about Cramorant being such a little pest, because... Okay, he's attaching a Cape of Toughness. That's smart, because now he has more health. But he doesn't know my hand. He does not know my hand, so... We could potentially take a knockout on this Charizard if we do this right. So he's attached to Fighting Energy, so that's fine, because he needs 3 to attack with this Charizard, but it's the fact that it's going to be able to soak up some blows for his team. And there's another Cape of Toughness. That's a card that's going out of rotation very soon, so it's not going to be as annoying as people think. Okay, it's now our turn. And we get the Drapion. Well, we can immediately discard you, buddy. We do not need you in this matchup. So, I think the best option is to grab another Giratina for later. Okay, so what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to use Lost Vacuum. And I'll put a Water Energy in the Lost Zone and get rid of his Cape of Toughness off his Charizard. So now it's back to 220 health. I'm now going to play Mirage Gate. Obviously, we have no water energy left in deck, but that's fine. I'm going to attach them to the Giratina. I'll then attach for turn. And we will spit instantly for the knockout, taking 2 prize cards because it's a V. Down goes Charizard. Probably one of the most recognisable Pokemon of all time. And there's a Vstar and a Chorus. That's disgusting. That's pretty disgusting, I'm not going to lie. That's a very disgusting pair to get out of your prize cards, especially when you play a Lost deck. So we are up to 8 in the Lost Zone. And he's now playing Chorus. Okay. So he'll be only up to 2 in the Lost Zone. But, well, he'll be up to 3 because obviously we got rid of 1 earlier. But if we get a switching card off of the Chorus next turn, we will take... What the heck was that? A Stonejourner V. I've never seen that before, but he also got rid of a Pokeball. But as you can see, Giratina against this sort of deck is pretty strong because obviously a deck like this doesn't expect to deal with something like that. So he can potentially take a knockout here, which is completely fine because if he does, we have game next turn if we draw into a switching card. So we draw a Giratina, so let's go for that. And yep, we have game here. Actually, realistically, we're just going to take these because game is over here. So, we're up to 10. So now I get to demonstrate one of my favourite things about Giratina. I'm going to scoop up Net the Cramorant and send my Giratina into the active. Now, because I'm lazy, we're going to use Star Requiem, which, as I mentioned earlier, takes an instant knockout on any Pokemon I wish. And because he has no board, we win. I could have easily just lost impacted him, but, well, I've got to show off the Vstar power. I mean, come on. And, well, I always believe in my deck, because hopefully it can do some work. And obviously Cramorant did do a lot of work for us there. But that was a pretty alright match. But yeah, obviously when this video obviously drops, as I've mentioned before, I don't think, yeah, the Battle Pass ain't working yet. They're still getting around to that. Obviously, when you next potentially see this deck, it will be a little bit different. Obviously, the Pokemon are not going to change. We still have a Sableye and everything. It's just the deck itself will be a bit more, obviously, well, it won't be as efficient because of the Scoop Up Net going. But hopefully next time you see this deck, it'll be a little bit more exciting and hopefully we have some more cards to play with at that time. Because I still think Giratina is going to be strong in the next format. And, well, he is. He's been clapping a lot of cheeks, let's put it that way. Anyway, I'm going to leave you all to it for today. I hope you've enjoyed the matches. Obviously, we have had some where people have just scooped. But at least you've gotten to see the power of Giratina once he can get going with his buddy Cramorant. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed today. And I will see you all on the next one.